prior to that, it was just like an interesting thing for them to jump into, and then they just really didn't stick with it. But hey, at least Journey to the Savage Planet was in the Tom and Jerry movie, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We got that on our own, though. That wasn't them. That was through Warner Brothers. So, like, no, they did nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very strange. It was very, and you could tell in that we would be in these weird Google town halls, and you're like, we're this gaming division, and the questions from who knows what, some old lady would be like, why are we making games? And we were like, it's a good question, guys. We don't know why you want to be making games, but you made us an offer we couldn't refuse. That's why we're here.
I was so excited when Google and Amazon actually with their Luna service. I have good internet, so streaming games is not an issue for me. I beat Doom Eternal on Stadia flawlessly. It was brilliant. So when they both launched their ecosystems, I was excited for it because, after PlayStation and Xbox and PC, it was a new player had entered the arena. It wasn't just a service, it was a whole platform. So you could see just every decision that they had made was wrong at each step of the way, and that they didn't listen to people in terms of, what it was that people actually wanted in a Stadia service. I personally think they should have just integrated it into YouTube, just the way they've done with music and stuff. And then you've got direct access on the biggest ecosystem on the planet was sat there waiting, and they tried launching their own one. So when they bought you, and then the whole service closed down, and I got that email, immediately you think to yourself, what is going to happen to the executives? How are they going to be held accountable for this? Because now this studio, Typhoon, these people are out of a job, and they've got to go out and find something else. So I'm very happy that you managed to retain the rights to your game so that you were able to go ahead and make a sequel. How did that meeting with them go in terms of retaining the rights to it?
Well, I mean, they did, and they kept them. So, like, we had to buy them back from them. So basically, they sold. We had to find the money to buy it back afterwards.
Right.
So it was not. It wasn't for free. And what we learned was, that Google is good at buying things and not good at selling things. So it took longer to buy the rights back than it did to sell them the company.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about Stadia. I came like this close to getting one. And then by the time I was about to make that jump is when they were like going under and the whole thing happened. And I mean, I was a huge Journey to Savage Planet fan. So I was like, no, Typhoon, really? No. And I was just like, I was looking at, all your socials and everybody and everything like that. And I can't remember, it was sometime around when you guys, started Raccoon Logic before you did the Employee of the Month edition. I was like, yes, they're back.
Yeah, we're gonna survive.
I was like, we get more Savage Planet. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, and next week, so even better.
Yeah. I go on vacation next weekend, but I'll be playing it Thursday and Friday for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a Deadforge video coming out on it, no doubt, sometime soon.
Awesome.
So, Alex, there's if you were kind of ingrained into the original game, as I've been for the past couple of weeks, kind of getting reacclimated to it, playing it for the second time, you'd notice, of course, that it's in first person the whole way through. I'm noticing from the footage of Revenge that it's all in third. Is there a option between those two, or is that kind of a full-on, totally different emphasis this time around?
Yeah, I think that's one of the rare-ish moments where being at a huge studio would have been useful, where, we just didn't have the bandwidth. We're still only 30 people, so like some outsourcing, so it's a very small team. So we just didn't have the bandwidth to do a first-person mode. I'd love to. We can't promise anything. We're looking at maybe smashing something in later, but no.
Well, to bounce off of that, what has been some of the, biggest challenges in developing Revenge of the Savage Planet over Journey, given that it still has co-op like the original, but now it has actual local split screen, which I just want to say thank you for adding that. I'm going to be playing it with my son 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
So,
well, that's it.
Yeah, and so and given all those additions and the third person and all that, like, what are some unique challenges, I guess, that this one is? You've had to tackle. It's got what, like customization features and stuff like that too. So,
Yeah, it's got like it's a bigger, better, more version in some ways. 5 planets instead of one, and a lot more tools, and something like 70 something creatures, where they're only like 20 something on the first one. So there's a lot of that. But then, yeah, split screen was a big deal. We did it on Armia 2 back in the day, and that worked really well. It was in Far Cry. We didn't split screen, but 2-player co-op in Far Cry. So we love co-op, especially for that. What you said, Deadforge, was like you and your kid or your partner.
Yeah, 100%.
And especially now, like I feel like there's. Yeah, we're sort of trying to bring back what we saw as the golden age of gaming, which was, us and our best friend on the couch with a pizza on a Saturday, playing, Contra or, anything like this, the old Simpsons game or X-Men, all that sort of stuff. So if we can get a bit of that vibe back, I think that'd be really great.
For sure. Yeah, I miss games having split screen stuff. I think that's why like stuff like It Takes Two and Split Fiction and all that is just done tremendously well, because you have to play them that way. And then they give you a free copy to play online with somebody if somebody hops in to play online. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Did Army
of
Two have split screen?
It did. Yeah, it still looks good for having split screen. But we had a funny story. Reed and I went to Korea many years ago to talk about various things they were doing in cyber cafes at the time, and we were out having a drink, and we got approached by these American army guys in full fatigues, and they were like, "What do you do for a living?" And we're like, "Oh, this doesn't sound great." And so like, we make video games, and they were like, "Which ones?" And we're like, "Army of Two," and they were like, "We love that game." So we learned very much there that like on army bases and in dorms and in and when you have kids and all that sort of stuff, you realize no one has 2 TVs, or very rarely do you have 2 TVs and 2 consoles or 2 PCs to network. It's really split screen. If you want to play with someone on those contexts, and that's a huge chunk of the audience if you think about it. If we had colleges, army bases, and and families, then you're really missing out. But it's a lot of work to finish the answer to that question. It's a huge amount of work to get it going, and you need to sort of plan it from day one, because you're changing your interface, you're changing how it's ran. It's 2 renders as opposed to 1. Like all kinds of different things you need to worry about. So that was probably also the most work.
Yeah, I had no idea that there was so much. You look at it and you think it's just a screen split in half and someone's been moved to the center of it. But I guess that's the beauty of what you do. It's designed to look seamless to the end user.
Yeah, like if you think about all the old school couch co-op games, they were sort of just 2 characters on one screen, so you didn't have to deal with as much. But now you have camera control and all that sort of stuff, so you sort of have 2 scenes you're rendering at any time, and then all the innovation, you need 2 sets of interface that move, that go with it. So yeah, there's a chunk of work.
Would you say that the challenges are more technical than they are? Like, I know some cynical people would be like, "Well, we got rid of local co-op to make people buy an extra copy of the game." Is it primarily probably technical versus just financial?
Oh yeah, it's just the assumption was that everyone was playing on the net online, but everyone's online now, so everyone's playing with someone not in their own house or not in their physical location. So I think that was the assumption, and then it's easy to justify when it also takes work out of the schedule. So I think people did that, but because no, but I don't think it's. I think even like say Split Fiction, if you want to play with someone else, they get a free copy. I'm pretty sure.
With A Journey to the Savage Planet, which is obviously coming out very soon, are you waiting to see how the audience is receptive to it before you move forward with any other ideas, or do you have something formulated? Obviously not asking you to go into details, but the nebulousness of an idea for a third game if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, we have a pretty good idea of what we do for a third game if it comes to that. And we have an idea we've always fantasized about being a bit like Bethesda, where they managed to build up bigger and bigger games with a relatively small team, sort of 80 people, by building on top of what they'd already done, and then spinning off their engine into science fiction to make Fallout. You know what I mean? It saves you years of work, and you can do more with less people. And so we've got another idea for a new IP based on a lot of the same tech, and then we have a multiplayer idea we're toying around. The market is so weird at the moment that we're pitching to everybody. Yeah, we're pitching to all kinds of people, and maybe if this one does well enough, hopefully we can self-fund the next one. That's another option. That would be amazing.
Yeah.